Hi, my name is Megan Adams, and today we are going to be talking about the key concepts and kind of ideas that we learned from throughout the semester and in our reading race, ethnicity, gender, and class. So, the first kind of prompt that we're going to be talking about is to understand, decipher, and read graphs and data points constructed in the social sciences created to convey knowledge on empirical evidence on diversity, racism, and bias. Or racism has come through in our society so much, and I think in learning in this book we see lots of different examples of that, with using data and graphs to kind of show that fluctuation of when it's been worse at times in throughout our history in this country, or whether it's more prevalent now. In figure 2.2, we see fluctuating statistics in immigration to America, showing a steady decrease or steady increase up until 1920, then a sudden drastic drop in immigration until about 1950. I think the graph is very important to see the way that immigration has progressed through the years, and furthermore, draw conclusions about how this can affect the social climate of America. The second prompt states to articulate an understanding of what it is meant by diversity in the United States. The readings have described diversity in the United States as, quote, individuals belonging to groups that vary along some of the most consequential dimensions within our society: ethnicity, race, language, immigration status, social class, sexual orientation, gender, and religion. And their lives have been shaped by these affiliations, some more than others. I think a really important part of it is kind of that cultural background and ethnicity and race and maybe different languages that are spoken and social class or sexual orientation, all those things that were listed in the quote as being the kind of direct definition of what diversity means. I think is really important to include in this, and is one of the biggest, you know, ideas of what diversity means in this country and how those two kind of ideas join together. For prompt 3, the prompt asks us to explain what diversity has to do with systemic barriers or privilege. I believe that diversity has everything to do with the systemic barriers and certain privileges that certain people have in this country. We see in Chapter 1, Diversity in the United States, that the authors discuss not only what diversity means, but the way these differences in people have been used to create prejudice towards one another. The text kind of explains, quote, we use the latter term most frequently because it reflects the patterns of inequality and the lack of power experienced by minority groups. Keep in mind that these inequalities we see today were established in the past, sometimes centuries ago or even more. Privilege exists even when the beneficiaries are unaware of it, end quote. Small inklings of that kind of treatment towards other people is still very prevalent today, and it's really important to be aware of that and how we see our peers around us today in our community. Now, for the last and final prompt I'm going to be talking about today, the prompt states, critically think about, discuss, debate, and explore complex, potentially controversial ideas to conclude issues of racist, class, gender, cultural diversity, and inequality in a communal context. But a large part of this class has been being able to appropriately and respectfully engage with our classmates about controversial topics in hopes to create healthy conversation about the concepts that we read about. Being able to talk about it in a nice and respectful way of other people is kind of the most important thing to making steps forward as a society, and understanding of what other people may be going through that you haven't personally gone through. Our discussion boards and other ways that we've been able to communicate with each other through in this class about diversity and race and ethnicity and prejudice, being able to recognize other people's struggles, makes you understand a lot more of kind of the topics that we've talked about throughout the entire semester.